So if you're listening to this podcast right now, the chances are you're feeling a bit stuck, a bit flat. You might be doing okay on the outside. You've got the job, family. Maybe you're not working. You're just stuck in this routine of just trying to hold it all together and not crack, because life can become pretty boring if you're repeating the same day every day. Inside, something feels flat. You've been living the same day over and over. You wake up, you go through the day, and you go to bed. And then you're lying there thinking, in another 8 hours, it starts all over again. What the fuck is this all about? I'm bored. I don't know what to do. And that's what this podcast is about. It's going to help you to break down what's actually happening in your life when the mind feels stuck, when you feel like it's Groundhog Day, what happens in that moment and how to understand it. And more importantly, is to shift it. I'm going to show you how to change how you feel about it. And that's what all my podcasts are about, to give you an actionable way of taking control over your mindset. And this isn't about changing your whole life in one go. In fact, that can be counterproductive. You see lads out there and they're, they hit rock bottom and then they jump back up and they take on life with a challenge and a fight, and they push through it and they swear they're going to change and they feel great about it, and then all of a sudden they fall back down again. So this is not about motivating yourself or pushing yourself harder. It's about training your brain to notice what it's been ignoring. Simple things, the simple little things that make you feel better. And if you get momentum on that, it's going to change everything. And I've created a free tool to go along with this podcast and this episode. And it's a simple, practical tool, and it works. It's not just a PDF. It's a guided experience that includes a video to guide you along, a printable visual task that you can do to hang in your wall, and a reflection sheet if you're into that kind of stuff and you want to really take control over it. You want to be able to track your progress and notice the difference, because you will with this. It's a very inspirational kind of approach. It's going to create some curiosity and an aha moment while you're doing it. And that's always good to have when you're making a change. If you have some curiosity and excitement involved in change, it's always going to change quicker. My job is to get you to that point. As many ways as possible that I can get you to change how you feel first, and then to apply these changes to your life, because how you feel is going to influence what you do in your life. So it's a printable visual task, reflection sheet if you're into it, and it's going to help you to start to shift your attention in a real hands-on way. You're going to notice something happening. You're going to be aware that something unique is happening, and you're going to be able to apply it to life in general. So it's not just a trick. When you download it, I'm going to also give you access to the men's community that I run, so that you're not trying to figure this stuff out on your own. So stick with me to the end of this, and I'll show you exactly how to get all of this. You might feel like you're living in the same day over and over again. And you wake up and you go to work and you come home, and it's easy in that moment to blame your job or to blame your responsibilities or the fact that life is busy. I do get that, and I understand how that becomes part of the problem. So I'm going to do my best to help you to change this way of thinking. Here's something that lads don't think about. When you get stuck in a routine, it doesn't start in the world. The routines are not outside. The routine starts in your mind. It's how your mind processes your life and how it can make your life very small and eliminate all other possibilities in your life. The mind is processing this stuff every day. It's sorting for information. It's distorting information. And it's trying to make sense of reality. And as soon as it creates a little bit of certainty in your life, it feels comfortable, but it's not always comfortable to be stuck in certainty. This is where life becomes mundane and boring. So it starts in how you think. It starts in what you expect from your day. How you wake up in the morning and you go, here we go again. That's the things that I'm looking for when I listen to people when they're talking about their problems. I'm looking for patterns to their thinking, because I understand that the descriptions that you give about your life, they're instructions for your mind to start to distort your life, to delete information. And remember what I said, your mind's deleting and distorting information all day, and it's sorting for information to align with your belief. If I can make you aware of this, there might be something that you can do about it to change it. So it starts in what you expect from your day. before it's even begun. I know when I listen to someone how they're talking about their life and I really kind of listen, I can hear how they're setting themselves up for failure and they're not even consciously aware of it. So when your thoughts are on repeat like that and you think it's Groundhog Day again, here we go again, it's just another day, if I get through the week it's going to be a bonus, why is my life so boring, when am I ever, as soon as you start to think like that and it's on repeat every day, your actions are going to follow, your mood is going to follow because your body's listening to your mind, and your energy will follow. Because if it's a negative story and it's a boring story, it's not going to be motivating. Okay, so if your head is stuck in that nothing's going to change loop, guess what? Your life won't change either. Now, look, sometimes what you're doing, you need to do. Like if you've got like your life responsibilities, you've got bills. I have to take all this into consideration as well. That I'm not just throwing motivational stuff at you. When your mind's going to be contradicting everything that I say, if you're in that low mood, I've got bills, I've got kids, I've got responsibilities. There's no room left for anything else. But what if your mindset and the routine that you're in itself is actually blocking your view? What if the stress of getting through the week has narrowed your lens so much that you've stopped seeing the other choices? This is the fact. You know, this is what I'm seeing, and I'm looking for these things in people, you know, that their language and the way they're talking about their life is creating how they see life, and it's distorting it. And as soon as I start to loosen that up, then all of a sudden things start to change. So that's my goal in this. It's making better decisions, you know, used different decisions, looking at different things, and, you know, seeing things that you may not be seeing right now, things that you might enjoy, ones that make you feel good, even though you're going through the grind. They're just things that make you feel a little bit lighter and start to get you to enjoy life. And sometimes you don't need to do more. Sometimes you just need a little bit of distance on stuff. And it's like the 20,000 foot view. I have to get you to be able to take a step back away from your life and look at life a little more objectively and ask yourself, is this actually good for me, what I'm doing? Because most people don't get the time. The only time they get the time is when they get really old and they go, shit, you know what? I should have, now that I've got distance on this, I wish I had gone back and just enjoyed my job a little bit more because I miss it now. You know, when you're looking at things objectively like that or subjectively, you can see things that you couldn't see when you were inside of the struggle. So here's what we're going to do with this. We're going to try and get you to be able to take that 20,000 foot view of your life. And then you tell me what other things are in life that you might have forgotten about. Is there anything that like I'm not seeing right now? And it's what's possible in my life that I've been too busy to notice. Because if you're busy and you're rushing through your day and you're getting through your week and you're not taking time and you're exhausted, I get it. I understand it. That when you feel exhausted like that and then throw more stuff at you to try and do it, it's just not going to happen. So there's a process to this, and it's going to help you to kind of change this in an enjoyable and a comfortable way. So if you're going through this Groundhog Day and you just don't feel like doing anything else, you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just worn down from doing what you've been doing up to this point, right? You've done what you had to do to get through the week, to pay the bills, take care of the family, and that's exhausting. But maybe now's the time to just check if there's a way that you've been surviving that you may not be aware of. And ask yourself, is this just survival mode that I'm in? Is this the way that I want to live and keep living? Or think of it like this. If you've built yourself into this routine, you've built yourself a room of certainty. Same thoughts, same rhythm, same tough day, and the same route through the day. If you've built yourself into this room, that room can feel comfortable and safe for a short period of time, but it's also blocking out the light. So it's like you built the room, you close the door, and it's comfortable, and you're in this routine, and it's safe. And if you do that, life's going to become pretty boring. And on the outside of that certainty is infinite possibility. There's uncertainty. And my job is to get you to be able to step out into that uncertainty in a comfortable way that's enjoyable and it's not too overwhelming, so that you can start to introduce a little bit more novelty into your life. So certainty is good, routine is good, but after a while, in my own experience, because I've been there, it's pretty boring and depressing after a while, and you're just kind of getting through the week. So fear grows when you're in that dark space. Fear grows when you're in the silence, and it grows when you're in the avoidance. It grows when you stop checking in with yourself to make these changes. And I do get that a lot of people have just given up and there's nowhere to go and they don't know where to turn. They don't know who to ask. They don't want to go to therapy. There's a lot of factors involved in this for different people. And that fear grows when you stop checking in. Well, like, what am I going to do? Is this ever going to change? It grows when the only voice that you hear is your own worry on repeat every day, and you don't talk to anybody about it, and you can't get it out. And even if you do talk about it, you just feel like you're burdened to other people. So what we're not going to do is tell you to throw the door wide open. Because if you're in that dark room and you force yourself into a new life, that's not how this works. It's not healthy to do that. It's very counterproductive, because if you throw yourself into the light too fast, you'll close the door even quicker. I don't know if you've ever gone through that, but I'm just kind of watching a lot of people that are kind of getting back up on their feet again, and they give it another go and they're doing great, and then all of a sudden they fall back again. It's because they're pushing themselves too fast into that transformation, and they're feeling stressed and they're not enjoying it, but they're pushing themselves. And that's the feeling that gets anchored into the whole thing. That's why I created a tool that's going along with this. It's not like a fix. It's kind of like a little nudge. It's a way to crack open that door just a little bit so that you can see what's outside that loop that you're stuck in. So if you imagine that you're in a room and it's dark, and on the outside is this bright, lovely, bright day, if you open it too fast, it's going to be too overwhelming and you'll close it. The best way to do it is introducing a little bit of light at a time. So when you use this tool, you're not facing your fears. You're not diving into discomfort and pushing yourself. You're just letting in a little bit more visibility, and it's enough for your system to start to adjust. If you do it that way, it's going to be way more enjoyable and way more effective, and it's going to last longer. It's not about taking ages to do this either. I don't want to make it sound like it's one small step at a time, little bits at a time. It's about taking enough time so it actually works, so it feels good, so that it lands and sticks there. You know, it's not about dragging it out and taking years to do it, or months even. You'll know you've taken too much of a big step when you're doing this. If you take too much of a big step in trying to change your life, you'll feel overwhelmed. And that's your sign that it's about movement and not panic. People are panicking into changing their life. They only do it when they get backed up against the wall and someone says, look, you need to change your shit. You need to get your life together. You need to start changing. And then they jump in and they join the gym and they go straight in for the weights, and it's too much too quick. And I understand the desire and the urgency to get over this as quick as possible. If you do it the way I'm going to show you how to do it, life becomes more of a process rather than this event. You know, it's like you're either in a good place or a bad place. It's not about that anymore. You're in a process of changing how you feel every day. And it's always moving forward. And it feels more like a natural process rather than waiting for this big event to happen. And that's the key to this. The word here is momentum. You want to create forward movement that actually sticks, because your system feels safe, and you'll stop resisting the change and the new stuff if you do it this way. And when you stop resisting, you start growing naturally. So if you jump through too quick, I'm sure you've had these experiences where you try and go on a healthy diet and it's all or nothing, and it just feels so uncomfortable. Whereas if you gradually change, like doing a fast, you know, there's a 72-hour fast. I've done the 72-hour fast, but I didn't start there. I started with 8 hours of being able to eat, and then 16 not eating. And it was difficult. It was really tough. And then I went to 24 hours no food. Felt absolutely brilliant. But again, it was tough. It wasn't as tough as the first time. It got easier. I started to realize I didn't need to keep shoving food into my face all the time. I actually was quite surprised with that I wasn't hungry. I was actually eating food because I needed to eat in order to be able to survive. And then after doing 24-hour fasts, there was a couple of times that I just forgot to eat. I felt absolutely brilliant. I felt clean. I felt lighter. I felt healthier. Then I done the 72-hour fast. And that just was a complete life changer. Not something that I'm telling you to do. Just using it as an example that I didn't jump right in. If I had to jump right in to do the 72-hour fast, it probably would have been too much for even my system to accept. Like, this is about your personality as well. It's getting you used to changing, but also other people around you. You don't want to jump too quick because they might not recognize this new person and they might put you down. So this is going to be a nice subtle way to do this. And if you're feeling anxious when you're doing something like that, it's probably because you haven't taken the next step yet. So you're going through this routine and you're starting to feel anxious because you know something needs to change. And that anxious feeling is probably because you haven't taken the next step yet. You know, it's the feeling that you get when you know you should do something, but you haven't taken that next step. You're just circling the wagon, like you're going around in circles and you're going, I'll do it tomorrow. And that's where anxiety starts to build. It's the gap between knowing and doing. It's knowing that things are going to get better if you do it, but it's that feeling you get before you do it that kind of stops you doing it. And it doesn't have to be a big step that you're taking. In fact, it's better if it's not a big step. It just has to be real, and it has to be yours, and it has to be in your time, and it has to be uncomfortable, and most importantly, it has to be enjoyable, because if you're enjoying the process, it will build up its own momentum. You don't need to go and change your whole life. You don't need to have some big breakthrough. That's probably the bigger picture stuff that comes as a secondary gain from this. You just need to take one part of your day. Take a part out of your day that you'd normally use, that you'd be normally worrying about stuff or thinking about your routine. Something small, something familiar, and, you know, start to shift your attention. It's going to be a visual thing that you'll look at, and you'll start to see something incredible happening when you're looking at this particular downloadable sheet. You'll see something disappearing that's there. And in that moment, you'll realize there's something happening here with this thing. My mind is actually doing something here. And if you've got that evidence, the first thing you start to think is, how can I apply this to my life? So it's just taking a little bit of time out of your day, something small, something familiar that you keep doing every day, and shift it and even slightly, and just take a little moment. In that moment, that's where momentum comes from. It's just that little step. What are you doing during your day that's causing you to feel like your life is on repeat every day? What's one of the boring things that you do? Put that aside just for a moment. You can get back to it and take up this little tool that I'm giving you to be able to start to train your brain to transform your life. You use this tool, you sit down with it, you watch the colors on the page, they start to fade and return, and you let your mind gently open up again. There's no pressure in it. It's just curiosity. And once you start doing this, it gets blood flowing to that part of the brain that's involved in being able to see things outside of the box. So people have a very linear way of thinking, and they have a routine, and they're kind of stuck in this limited mindset. And on the outside of that limited mindset is every other possibility that you could include in your life that could make you feel better. But unfortunately, with most people, anxiety is outside of that box as well. It's uncertainty. It's not knowing. So this tool is a little thing that can help you to start to get blood flowing to that part of your brain that's involved in being able to see the bigger picture, being able to see variety and color, and start to, map it across into your life. And that little shift that happens in that moment, that's your step. That's your way forward. It feels comfortable for you when you start to watch this thing. And then you start to think about, I wonder what other things are in my life that are actually good. Not just in my life, but in life in general, that I may have forgotten about, that I could start to introduce into my life in a small, comfortable and enjoyable way. Instead of jumping in too quick, this is going to warm up your brain to start to allow that process to unfold naturally, and have me coaching you through it as comfortably and as enjoyably as possible. And any questions that you have, you just go into the community, ask me questions. You can comment on any of these videos, on these podcasts, and I'll answer the questions. So using this tool is your way of starting to move forward comfortably. And that's how you start building momentum without burning yourself out. You'll notice a lot of people are just jumping in the deep end and then they just fall back again. There's reasons behind that that I'm not going to get into in this one. Maybe I've mentioned it somewhat in my other podcast of why these things happen when you feel overwhelmed. So that's how you stop the cycle. That's how you start to actually move. This tool also helps you to work with your attention. And you might have heard me say a few times, there's 3 things that you need to take control of. What you pay attention to. So if your attention is like a little frame in front of you, it's what you put that on. That's the real estate. It's the most valuable real estate that you have is your attention. What you pay attention to. How often you pay attention to that thing. And what meaning you attach to it. So in that moment, in every moment of your life, in that real estate called your attention, if you don't have control over your attention, you do not have control over your life. Most people don't know where their attention is when you ask them. They have scattered and incoherent attention. So it's what you pay attention to. So what you put that little frame on. How often you pay attention to that. Could be the bad things in your life or the good things. This works both ways. If you have control over it, you're going to have a much happier and fulfilled life. This is a tool that trains you how to get control over your attention. And whenever you put your attention on, what meaning are you attaching to it? This is where I come in. I help you to change the meaning inside of you about what's happening outside. So it doesn't mean the same thing anymore. You've got more choices. Right now, your attention might be doing one of 2 things in your life. It's either scattered and all over the shop, or maybe it's stuck on one problem and then it moves and gets stuck on another problem, you know? So people either have fractured attention when you're being pulled in 10 different ways in all different directions. Some people have stuck attention where they're just constantly stuck on an idea and they can't get their heads out of it. They can't stop the looping. The same story or the same thought just going over and over and over and over again in your mind. Neither of those things lead to clarity when you're caught in that loop, because you don't know that you're caught in it. And it's easy for me to get you out of it because I can see where you're stuck and I can start to hijack your attention and move it somewhere else, start to loosen it up, and then get you to be aware of where it is at any given time and start to give you control back over it. And I'm doing it in these podcasts in the best way that I can to give you valuable resources to be able to start to train yourself into doing this the old-fashioned way. Because whatever's out there new, it's not working too well for you. You might just have to go back to the drawing board and use the basic principles that work. And these are proven ways. I'm using it myself in my own life and I help other people to use it in their life. So this tool helps you gently reset your attention, to move it, start getting it moving, to start opening it up and making your attention expansive. It brings your focus back to the center again and it starts to train you to start to look at life like this. And when you bring it back to the center, from there, you decide where to place it next. Once you start to get it moving again and you start to get control over it, then you decide, okay, where do I want to put my attention to now that I'm in control of it? And how often do I want to bring it back to these things? And the meaning that you're going to make about what you put your attention on is going to be changed because I'm going to help you change it. More choices, less excuses to feel bad. And here's the thing I want you to think about. That if you're having a routine, a Groundhog Day, I'm sure you've thought about why your life is so mundane. It's so boring. And you start to look at other people's success. And you start to see that they've all got it going on. Seems like I'm stuck in this routine. They're going on holidays. They're enjoying their lives. They're going for walks together. They come home from work and they go out. I'm not doing that. How come they're all doing it? And like, I don't even work as hard as that other guy and he's doing more than me. And you start comparing yourself to other people's success. What is success for you? Like really, what is it for you? Because a lot of what men are chasing isn't even their own dream. And it's some idea that was handed down by maybe society. Like, if you have more money, more recognition, more stuff. But if you ask the men that have reached those markers in their life where they have more money, they have more success, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them will tell you it wasn't about where they got, it wasn't what they thought it would be. They got there, they have the success, they have the house, and it's not what they thought it would be. And they keep it to themselves because they don't like sharing how they're feeling with other people, because people might think they're ungrateful, so they keep it all to themselves. I've got all the success and I don't feel like fulfilled. I thought it would be better, but it's not, actually not. It's not peace. It's not contentment. Got more stuff now, I've more stuff to look after. It's just noise. This is what I get to experience when I'm working with people. And I'm not labeling everybody with the same label. I'm just saying a lot of people that are chasing success, they're chasing the dream, and it's not their dream, it's society's dream. And they waste all that time. By the time they get there, they realize it wasn't their dream to begin with, and that there's no contentment there. So be careful with your dreams. They might not be yours. They might be society's dream. And what a shame that would be, to spend your whole life chasing something that's not yours, and you realize you never actually lived your own life that you wanted. Sometimes the real value is in the simple things that already exist in your life and you might not see them. And you can learn to appreciate them again. If you follow me with this process, you can start to find the simple things that old people start to look back and appreciate. The simple things. So it might not be the other person's life. It might not be paying the mortgage off. It might not be the big things that you're saying, if I had all this other big stuff sorted, I'd be happy. Because I know people that do that. And I've did it. And they're still finding it hard to enjoy the simple things in life. And it's only when they lose something, they realize that it was the simple things. This tool helps you to start doing that now with no pressure, with no hype, just relaxed awareness. A subtle way to start to move your attention, to expand your awareness. And that's the point right now that you're standing on the edge of your growth when you're doing that. You'll start to see things that you're not actually stuck. It was just your mind. Your life's just not moving yet because you haven't taken the next step. And there's all these other choices that's available to you that you may not have even been aware of. And I know from my experience, just in my opinion and based on what I've done and how I've applied and how I've seen it work and how I've seen things that don't work, this is the most powerful and natural way to do it, is the way I'm explaining it to you. I've tried a lot of different ways. And yes, there is stuff out there, other stuff that can help you to change. But in my opinion, this is the most enjoyable, long-term, successful way to do it. It's just being able to change how you feel, then decide what you want to do. And do it in an enjoyable and comfortable way, so that becomes the experience that gets baked into what you're doing. And that's how you're going to feel the next time you do it, because you've wired in the good feeling and the enjoyable feeling to the process. And now it stops becoming some event that you're chasing. You're actually enjoying life itself and the growth. So you're right at the place where everything can shift in that moment. Not through force, not through too much effort, not through pushing yourself, but through small, consistent and curiosity. Small consistency and curiosity. That's what this tool is about. It helps you to see the edge and feel ready to take the next step. It starts to get you to open up your mind to looking at life and allowing a little bit more color back into it. Because when you're doing this tool, and I probably didn't mention this in the video itself, but when you're looking at the little cross in the middle of the page, I give you a printable version of it, I give you a video version of it, and you have the whole thing to take away to hang up on your wall. When you're looking at the cross in the middle of the page, what's happening in the background with this is you're looking at a black cross that's in the middle of the page. And behind that is this grey background. And on the outer edges is all these coloured circles. And when you're staring at the little cross in the middle, what you'll notice is that the colours start to disappear. They start to fade out. and then they'll come back in again. And then if you keep staring at the cross in the middle, they'll fade out and they'll disappear, and you'll be like, oh my God, and then they'll come back again. And your mind is doing something in that moment. It's trying to help you to find what you're looking for. It's trying to help you to find more black, and the closest thing to black is grey. So what happens is it starts to try and bring the majority of the background, which is grey, it starts to bring more of that in because it thinks this is what you're looking for. You're looking for more black and white stuff. So let's get rid of all this colour because that's not what he seems to be looking for, and bring in the majority of what's in the background. Bring in more of the dark and the grey and get rid of all this coloured stuff. And then the whole page becomes this black and white page. And it's amazing how black and white life can become when you stop looking for colour. And in that moment, if you try and keep those colours away, it becomes too much of an effort. And that's life. When you're focused on something intently, especially problems, it's exhausting and it's draining. My job here is to get you to relax and be more of an allowing rather than a forcing. This is an enjoyable process. I hope you get some good value from it. If you have any questions, and if this has landed with you, and you want something simple that you can actually use to start you moving forward again, just click on the link in the show notes, pop in your email. You'll get instant access to this, to a private page where you'll find a short guided video, the monotony mode. It's a visual tool, how to break the monotony mode. It's a printable version. You can stick it on your wall, and a reflection sheet. I would do it. If it was me, I would do it. That's just the way I am. I would do the sheet. You don't have to do it every day. I'm not giving you a routine to do every day. This is just to warm your brain up, to open it up to all these other ways of looking at life. And the reflection sheet, you can write down stuff on it if you want. There's no pressure. It's not a necessity. It's more important that you start to use the tool itself and get that into your mind. This is just not just another download. This is a tool that you can use to retrain your mind, to see what you've stopped seeing. You know, those colours represent all the good things in life. They're all there. I don't have to make things up. There is good things out there that could make you feel better, but you've locked yourself into this routine mindset. So this tool will help you start to break out of that and start to introduce more things into your life, not under duress, not by necessity, but by desire. So you've stopped seeing things. This is an attention shifter to get you out of that stuck loop without having to force anything. And once you're inside, you'll also get access to the men's community that I talked about. And I run this men's community just to start to give more direct personal information to men that are stuck, and to bring you stuff, real life experiences with real other people. And it's all the one mindset, people that are just looking to make their life better. No pressure, no noise, just honest tools for real change, honest conversations. Sometimes I'll be talking to real men that are struggling with stuff, and I'll help them break through stuff. And sometimes I'll be sharing stories. I won't share anybody's information. I'll just be sharing stories, and I'll be sharing some practical tools and tips out of these videos as well, these podcasts, to help you. So click on the link, check it out, and I'll see you there.